All right, let's look at our pedigree chart or the family tree. First thing I want to talk about are the symbols. The symbols are up here in the top. We always use a square for male, circle for female, and then we draw a line between them to show a marriage or relationship that produced children. A line coming off of those would be to show the children who are born of two people. If it comes straight off of the line to a square or circle, that's just one child. And I'll show you how we do like branches and brackets if there's multiple children. You're going to map out 3 generations in your family tree. The first generation will be the grandparents on mom and dad's sides, so at least 4 people. The second generation will be mom and dad, aunts and uncles if there are any, so at minimum 2. And then third generation would be the student and their siblings. They do not have to do cousins. They can, but it's not extra credit. And then make sure we use the correct symbols from above. Again, squares for males, circles for females. Please label your family members. So please use their name first. And if this is someone who is no longer in your family or you don't know much about them other than they were, say, dad or mom, you would just put their title. And the title would be dad, mom, aunt, uncle, any of those. Okay? And then the final thing, once you have your whole pedigree done, then you're going to trace the eye color through the family and you're going to shade those in with the color of their eyes. So let's start with a basic example, like the most basic we could possibly do. Sorry. We'll do a circle for mom, connected to dad. So I started with the second generation because it's the middle of our chart here. And then mom would have to have a mom and dad, and that would be grandma and grandpa. So circle for grandma and square for grandpa. Dad also has to have parents. So grandma and grandpa again. All right. Now, so we have our first generation. We have our second generation. Again, this is the most basic example possible. Then the last would be the student. They would also label it their name. In this case, I'm just putting me. Third generation. So we can see that the grandparents are the first. Mom and dad are the second. Student is the third. This, again, is the most basic example. Now, I have lots of students who have siblings. So in that case, we're going to erase this here. And you would have a bracket that comes down, and then you would put the siblings. So let's say 2 girls and 1 boy. Okay, so that would show that mom and dad produced 3 children, 2 girls and 1 boy. Now, what happens if there are half siblings? Say dad was married previously and he had another kid before he married mom and had children. So they can choose to do this if they know who it is. Wouldn't be their mom, right? It would be whatever the mom's name is. And then the child would come off of them. So this would be a half brother, okay? If they don't know that information, then we can simply just have a line coming off of dad. That goes to half brother. Simple as that. That works just fine, okay? If they have steps and they want to put it on there, again, that's where you would do that new relationship. And again, could come off of the other parent. Again, they do not have to. We are just looking at what is genetically linked to our student here in the center, okay? You don't have to do extras. You are more than welcome to, but it is not necessary. We are just tracing a trait to show how it can be passed through generations, okay? So let's go back to our basic example. I've also had people ask about divorce and remarriages, anything like that. Again, you're welcome to add anything you want on here. The minimum required is what is genetically related to the student for 3 generations. If mom has siblings, then this is going to look slightly different here. So grandma and grandpa still produced mom. Let's say mom has a brother. So then a line will come down and then a bracket to mom and uncle. So dad could be the exact same thing if dad had siblings. Sorry, I missed this little line here. Let's say dad had 2 siblings, just so you can see what a variety looks like here. So again, this would be aunt and uncle. So then we can see a variety of relationships here. Grandma, grandpa on both sides, mom with a brother, dad with a sister and brother, and then student with siblings as well. If they do not know the person, I would like them to just write the title because that person still created them. They may not know anymore, but just so they know what this pedigree chart would look like, they would still put dad with the box, write the title dad, do the grandparents, and leave it at that. If they don't know more, they don't know more, and they can't do any more. When I can see that it's not colored in by eye color, I would know that that's someone that is no longer in the picture, so I don't need to worry about it. They don't have to worry about if they're no longer alive. They can just color it in with eye color if they know it, or if you know it, or whoever in their family can give them that information. If the student is adopted or a parent was adopted, then you can simply stop and put adopted underneath it. So let's say aunt here is adopted. Okay, then I'm going to know that aunt's genetics aren't going to affect or be affected in the whole family situation. But you can still put them in there, especially if it's the student. If the students are adopted, they can trace the dad or mom, whichever parent they would like to trace, and use them as their 3rd generation. So they would need to do the parents as 3rd, grandparents as 2nd, and great-grandparents as 1st generation. It can be a little bit tricky depending on the age of the generations. But it's completely up to you guys, up to the students, up to parents, whatever you guys want to agree upon, okay? You also could still put adopted as the kid and just trace, again, the adopted parents and grandparents. Any of those work. If you have any questions, you can always you can always message me on Parent Square. You can send me an email and I will check in. They will have Thursday night. They will have Friday night to work on this. There'll be sometime Friday in class. They'll have the weekend and then they'll be due Monday. Again, if you have questions, reach out.